soft handshake, but they had me playing softball with kids yesterday, and I haven't played softball in over 20 years. And this morning, I realized that they say stretch first. I don't know. When you get to be 45, you understand that that's more than a strong recommendation. So sorry if I'm just moving a little slow. But it was fun. I had a couple of good ones. So good evening, everyone. Before I begin, I want to thank the leadership of the Patterson neighborhood, Patterson Park Neighborhood Association, for putting this meeting together. Thank you for having me today and for all of your hard work. This is one of the very active community associations. I recognize some of the faces from being here before, so I just want to thank you for being here. Everyone knows this has been a very troubling time in our city, and I want to thank all of you that have come out to help some of the businesses that have been impacted in the neighborhoods as we are working to recover. Almost all of the businesses that were impacted have been reopened, and we're working very hard on the remaining few that are open, that need to be reopened, and dealing with some zoning issues that, I'm sure you're not unfamiliar with the challenges there. We're dealing with non-conforming uses and how we can deal with some of the liquor stores that were they were previously non-conforming, so, we're going to use the recovery funds to reopen a liquor store that was already non-conforming. So we are hashing through some of those issues as we're dealing with the Transform Baltimore initiative. But the one thing I can say is that it's shown, the past few weeks have shown the resilience of our city. There's so many, while the nation was fixated on the negative, the unrest, the negative parts of the unrest. So many people came out offering to help, and we're trying to harness that energy and that interest in being a part of solution in Baltimore, the One Baltimore initiative, and working in partnership through our One Baltimore initiative. We have almost closed the gap in providing summer job opportunities. About 8,000 kids, young people, applied to work for the summer, and we're very, very close to making sure that every one of them has a placement for the summer. So if any of you are responsible for donating, I'll thank you if you haven't. I just want to put it out there that there are a lot of people in this community who have gone above and beyond to try to close that gap. We're also working to put together work groups that can help us to harness this energy for good, and I say that to deal with some of these structural issues that are challenging cities all across our country. Issues of barriers to employment, issues of health and human services, addiction, all of those things, trying to find ways that all of these different foundations and providers who are working on these issues, how can we work together, work better together, and align our resources to be able to do more for the community, and use this extreme crisis as an extreme opportunity for growth in the city. So stay tuned for more of that. I will say that it also gave us a chance to highlight a lot of the good things that we've been doing in our community and why. Highlight the reasons why we fought so hard for the $1.1 billion in new school construction, because we know how important it is to make those sound investments in our community. It was so important for us to make the tough budget decisions so we can put ourselves in the position to open the first new rec center in over 10 years. We're going to break ground on 2 additional rec centers this year, and if I could get some help from the council, who has a bill that's been sitting there for, I think, almost a year, I would say, that give us the opportunity to sell 4 of our parking garages. We make about $40 to $60 million to be able to push forward our efforts to build new recreation centers and significantly renovate others throughout the city. So, it underscores the reason why that's so important. And earlier today, I also participated in an announcement. I stood with the council as we announced $4.2 million in additional funding that will be available for young people, for youth out of school time. So we have to work in partnership with the school system to make sure that And while we're pushing for new schools and renovated schools, and we're pushing for progress inside the schools, we're also working collaboratively to ensure that young people have productive things to do in outer school, whether that's before school or after school. And I was really pleased to be able to work with the council to prioritize that spending for this upcoming fiscal year. And it was a very positive announcement this afternoon. So, trying to think if there's anything. I just want to touch on a few things and then just really leave it open because I know you probably have a lot of questions. So I'll stop it there. Again, thank you for inviting me out, and I will. Do you want to open it up? Do you want me to open it up? Or I'll open it up, and I'm supposed to start over here, right?
Right. Well, I'll jump in one.
Yes.
My name is Patrick Lumberg. We got 4 in the city in there. I'm the East Sector Vice President of the Patterson Park Neighborhood Association. I really want to speak kind of, on some of the larger systematic issues we were talking about that, your administration is well aware of, and I know you guys are working hard to kind of look at the big picture and better our city. One thing that we do amazingly well in this community is we empower ourselves to get a lot done. In this week alone, there are some extraordinary people that go, above and beyond on a daily basis in matters of sanitation, outreach, housing policy, safety, all of the above. And obviously, the neighborhood and the city is at its best when we can work mutually and symbiotically with government and city agencies as well. One particular area where we're experiencing a shortcoming is on the notion of housing policy, property management, and zoning. Particularly, this pertains to some of our experiences with the BMCA. We've had great experiences with other government agencies and quasi-judicial organizations, especially the Liquor Board, in terms of the city's position when it comes to promoting the health and well-being of communities. And a lot of this just comes down to simply following the rules and regulating people who are not following the rules. However, we haven't had this experience with the BMCA. So I guess what I was asking you is, can we expect more accountability out of the BMCA when it comes to enforcing zoning ordinances that are on the books? And what are your thoughts on kind of what's being accepted? Because I feel like right now it creates the environments where a lot of business owners are complacent with doing whatever they want. So we want to avoid that in the present and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, and I agree that we are at our best when we have communities that have the capacity to work in collaboration with government. That's why a lot of the response to the unrest, and I know this is not your issue, but just so you know, part of that work is helping those communities, many that don't even have active community associations, to build that up so they can be a part of, defining the future for themselves. So thank you for being a great example of what that looks like. I told Anna and Alan, I think, talked about, that work with me in the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood, talked to me about some of the concerns that this community is having with BMCA, and I think it's important that, number one, I hear you, and I don't have an answer to the specific issues that I know you've recently had, but I can say that I'll look into those specific issues and get back to this community on how we can make the BMCA more responsive to the community's needs. I think for me, I need to get a little bit more information about the basis of those decisions. The reason why I've been working so hard to update the zoning code is because so much of the frustration comes out of the fact that the rules that we're enforcing or the codes that we're enforcing are so antiquated. They don't fit with, with our lives today. So when you're enforcing what might be on the books, it's still not, it might be, and again, I don't know if this is, I have to, like I said, I need to get more specifics on this issue that I know you're talking about, but it might be true to the code, but it's not useful in the way that communities exist today. So that's why I've been pushing. This is the Transform Baltimore we've been working on for at least 6 or 7 years to try to get it through the city council. So I can say on the specific issue with BMZA, we can follow up because I want to get some more information so I can make a more complete response to the issue that recently came up. I know that I received a letter. Was that today we got that, or it was last week? So I am aware of the specific issue you're talking about, and I can get back to your organization.
I just had one more thing, and this is just for your own information too. It's not so much necessarily just in regards to one specific instance, as far as it's kind of on the consistency of it all, right? So usually working with neighborhoods and hearing neighborhoods' concerns more, when those hearings take place. So, we just want to have that open dialogue, and we want to know that we have more of an influence upon those issues than just being supporters.
Yeah.
So that's what it's.
We can also work to see if we can get one of the representatives from BMZA out to the meeting, and they need to hear from you as well. So we'll work on that as well, if you think that would be helpful. I'll go over here one more time. Going once, going twice, yes.
I've lived in this neighborhood a couple of years now, but I've worked in the city school system my 10th year. I'm a school psychologist, I'm all over the town. And one of the biggest problems that I've seen is kids give up on their education. They're just disengaged by middle school, and it seems like they give up on like a legitimate life by the time they're 14, 15. I see it all the time. So they're truant, they're causing trouble, they're breaking into houses. They feel like every time that happens, the neighborhood is almost always juvenile. So, like, what are plans to engage like these truant, disengaged kids? Because I feel like a lot of that falls on us in the school system. We have, we're just overburdened with everything else. We have enough time with the kids that we're actually in school. So I mean, it's just
That doesn't mean the school system can advocate their responsibility.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Right. So I think, as far as it being a partnership, these are the types of things that we're doing to support the school system. I know that one of the, while over the past decades, there's been all types of different theories on what causes the achievement gap in schools. People say it's race, it's class, it's this and that. One thing that is clear that the achievement gap is attributable to is chronic absenteeism. And because of that, over the past few years, I've had an attendance challenge in partnership with the schools, where I provided prizes for schools that make the most year-over-year improvements. We've got radio stations involved, sports celebrities involved, all of those things to try to engage young people in coming to school. A lot of times we forget the fact, particularly if we went to school and you come from a community or a family of people that have a school-going culture, and you're not in the schools, right? So you can forget that that's not everybody's life. When I spent almost 10 years as a public defender, and in South Baltimore, I spent the most time, and some of the people that I represented were mothers who were being, had to face charges because their kids had chronic absenteeism. And it hit home to me how that school-going culture, how the chronic nature of that breakdown, until I was talking to one of my clients, and she looked at me, she's like, what am I going to do? He's 8 years old, I can't make him go to school. And for me, yeah, but for me, that whole notion was so foreign because, I'll be honest, I learned about free will. I was a freshman in college, in a philosophy class. Like this whole thing about what you can and can't do as a child, like, it was so foreign to me. But then, it was made very plain in that instant, because it was clear that my client didn't finish school. Her mother didn't finish school. I doubt that it went back any further. So when you have this generational cycle of people that don't have families that don't have a culture of education, we have a lot of work to do. So on the school side, clear obligation to provide education to all the free quality education to everybody. Clear obligation. My role is to be in support. So we do things like that. The attendance challenge. I also do things to try to slow that pipeline of young people that are becoming disengaged, because we have a good sense that that it starts as early as pre-K and kindergarten, right? You can pretty much tell the kids that going to go down the wrong path. So those are the ones that aren't prepared to enter into school. So we've been investing more in early childhood education, starting it earlier. So we have not just a head start, but a pre-head start, so we can get infants straight on in. So we're making sure that more kids are ready. And then after they're in school, we're also engaging with volunteers across the city to make sure that we get more kids reading at grade level by grade grade. Because we also know that other indication of the kids that are going to be the ones that are going off the rails, and whatever grade you're talking about, is if they're not reading at grade level by age 3, by the 3rd grade. Because you need to be able to read, learn to read so you can read to learn, right? And, but if you have those challenges, you're not going to be able to meet those milestones that you need to in 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and then you kind of go on. So those are the types of things that we're doing to be supportive of the school system to make sure that fewer and fewer kids are able to fall through the cracks. Yes.
So, Mayor, thanks for being here tonight. It's always good to have you back in Patterson Park. There's been a lot of news recently about staffing changes in the Office of Criminal Justice. I was wondering if you could, without getting into individual circumstances, you could address in general the kind of driving force behind that change in leadership and what that means for your administration's leadership moving forward, especially as we enter summer, what that looks like for our strategies here.
Okay. So I just want to be abundantly clear, the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice is not the police department. So there are no changes there. And the police department is responsible for enforcement, responsible for crime strategies. The Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice they're responsible for working across the agencies and working with outside stakeholders to drive a public safety agenda in collaboration with the police. And I just wanted something different. I thought we could do better. I thought we could do more. And when I think that, I'll make, changes will continue to be done. I want something that's much more collaborative and much more aggressive when it comes to collaborating across our agencies. And that's what that is the progress that I'm going to drive for. I'll say that to stay tuned because I'll be announcing some new initiatives coming out of the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice that is more in line with what I believe is possible out of that office.
Hi, Madam Mayor. Thanks for joining us. My name is Phil Edenbach. What is the city doing to stem the tide of firearms that are flowing into our city and keeping them out of the hands of high-risk individuals?
Yeah. So I'm sure if you spend any time here, you understand that there's we live on the drug and gun corridor. The 95 corridor. It's a very active pipeline of illegal guns and drugs. And one of the things that we've been doing is trying to increase our partnership with the federal government, whether it's ATF and DEA, to work to we're coming at it from all angles. So for example, Sheriff's Department, they have warrants that they can serve. We are in daily conversations with the department on how they can help us with the enforcement and get those individuals with active warrants. Because they're serving some of the warrants, the police are serving some, so working in better collaboration to get those individuals that are that we know have the proclivity to have these illegal guns, get them off the streets. Like I said, we know that's a small number of individuals who are responsible for the vast majority of this violence that we see. So we're trying to get those known offenders that we can get off the streets. We also are working, like I said, with ATF and DEA to use their resources to help us identify the drivers of this illegal gun trade, to get the community involved, because it's, while we're working with the leads that we can get through our other, with the resources we have in the police department and our other public safety partners, we're also always looking for more ways to get the public engaged, because people know who have these guns, and we always look for ways to create incentives for people to give that information. So last year we announced increasing the amount of money that you can get if you call Metro Crime Stoppers and give a tip that leads to an illegal gun arrest, then you can get, I think we bumped it up to, I think, $3,000 per person. So, to try to create this incentive to get us information to take guns off the streets. But, I think as far as the track record from the police department, I have to say, year over year, we've been taking more guns off the street. The problem, the problem is the supply, it's up there, it's very high. If you have any suggestions or things that you think we should be doing that we're not, please.
I'd like to see the city working more closely with your counterparts in states with laxer regulations such as Virginia and Pennsylvania to try to stop the flow of guns into areas with a little bit stiffer gun control. That's my primary suggestion for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm in this area. Yes.
Hi, good evening, Madam Mayor. My name is Patterson. I just wanted to talk with you about a chronic problem that we have with, I guess, government agencies not following through on issues. For instance, those of us who live along the Fayette corridor, some of us longer distance from Cowboy State, have had a chronic issue with tractor trailers that love to go down the Fayette corridor and they keep us awake. They make us think that we have earthquakes in our houses sometimes. It's been brought to light, thanks to my investigation at Councilman Kraft's office, that Fayette is not a tractor trailer corridor, and yet the signs are still up and it's not being enforced. And I can tell you now, thanks to Kelly McPhee who's here, she had our Pulaski rerouted so that tractor trailers stopped going down near Library Square. Well, now I live on Elwood, and the tractor trailers have started coming down Elwood now to get to Fayette. So I don't know hopefully we can get it corrected, but I'm told that the reason that they can't get it, the tractor trailer law isn't enforced is because the signs are still up, and it's wondering why someone just can't go out there and take down the signs.
Who informed you of that? That's the reason why they're not being enforced?
One of Councilman Kraft's aides spoke with the Department of Transportation, and they said that was the only reason that it couldn't be enforced was because the signs were up. So it's, to me it's easy. It's just
I'm just trying to figure out if that's the actual reason. Frank, do you have any information on that? He's saying that the reason why it's not enforced is because the signs are still up. I don't understand.
The signs we put up are ones that restrict truck traffic, so we'll
Right.
have to take a look to see. So usually the signs are up that you can do, the signs aren't up.
Yeah,
So we'll check.
because the signs that are out there now say that it's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You're allowed to have trucks, but yeah, they're like this big, so no one can actually see them.
I mean, the size isn't the issue. Either they're there or they're not. And if they're there and they're not, so what are you saying that the signs say?
So the signs say that tractor trailers can use Fayette, but after investigation, Fayette actually is not a truck corridor, so the signs are incorrect. They're probably outdated. So it's just a matter of taking the signs down. And I was told that that's why the police can't enforce the tractor trailer law when they're going down Fayette. So if you can do something to speed that up, all those arrests.
Absolutely, and try to just make sure it's clear that if we're talking about trucks in the evening when you're sleeping, that you can enforce them. So my request would be for the department to work with the police department to work with transportation. And you don't have to look very far to see the districts that are getting it right down in Brooklyn and Fairfield, where they have those issues down in the Southern District. We've worked really hard to reduce those, the truck traffic. So on the transportation side, Frank, if you can get somebody to look at those signs, you'll give him the streets that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's noise, but it's also safety. Like, they're not actually supposed to be there on the day either. We have a tractor trailer that actually nailed a utility pole right in our neighbor's house and knocked out our car, and thank God that pole was there because it would have taken out the house, and they should be on there anyway, so. Yeah, and it's pretty economic development.
No, if the trucks aren't supposed to be there, that's what I want to address. I don't think you have to convince me why it's bad.
And yeah, it's just a matter of enforcement too. Like, do we call the police about it?
Like, at 3 a.m. in the morning when the truck wakes me up, do I know?
Well, and at that point, it's too late, you're up. I'm trying to get it. The reason why I'm asking the transportation and the police department to work together, and number one, very quickly address the issue of the sign, so there's no confusion about enforcement, but also, if I can get, to figure out who from the police department is going to take the lead on making sure that collaboration happens.
Hey, Richard.
All right.
Yeah, we actually have a traffic officer, so I'll pass it on.
Can you give us the name of the traffic officer?
Yes.
He's awesome, it's fun. So, I don't mean to misspeak or something like anything, but I know times are tight economically, but it's one officer, and we're dealing with more of a reactive,
But that's not what I'm interested, that's not the solution that I hope you understand that's not the solution that I'm looking for. And the fact that there's one traffic officer just means that one person is responsible for coordinating, not necessarily enforcement. So,
okay, fair enough.
yeah. So my expectation is between transportation and, you said Fitzsimmons, what did you say it was? Fasano, all right. That he'll take the lead on working to resolve it, so you can look for a model like they have in the Southern District, where they've had more success than it seems like here in trying to, in putting those things, putting those, officers on the street that are solely responsible for doing the tractor trailers. It doesn't take a lot to disrupt it, but the tractor trailers have to know that somebody's going to be out there doing that enforcement. So my expectation is that proactive stuff is going to, first the signs and then the proactive policing will take place.
Fines change these two, so it's actually truly an estimate to break the law. We're pretty nominal in the grand scheme of things, I believe.
I could definitely take a look at it.
Thank you.
We will all rest better.
No, I get it.
Thank you.
All right, I was in this area. Yes.
Hi, Mayor. Thank you very much for being here today. I also live 7,000 from Fayette, so I appreciate that. I wanted to thank all your city staff and really great Lindsay and community liaisons. And I also want to let you know that we help ourselves, and especially cleaning and sanitation. So we're working on a Patterson Park Neighborhood Clean City Guide, and I wanted everybody who has worked on it to please stand up. We've also worked with your city officers, Bob Murrow, Peter Naomi, Matt Hessler, and many others in the city. They've been really, really helpful to give up their time. And my main question to you is, I was at the Humane Society when Director Chalice has been working on Rapid About and having experience and try to sign up for Rapid About and knowing all the breakdowns and the follow-up and maybe the funding limitations. I just wondered how you could help us get rid of rats in our neighborhood.
So can you explain, just follow up, and give me some background on the breakdown you had when you tried to sign up?
Sure. We've been trying to figure out the Rapid About program for about 1 to 2 years, and it's really difficult to...
What's changed? It changed
Yes.
last year.
Yes.
So
The
we had
right of
a,
entry form is also difficult to know you need to do and to turn in, and then even if you get the evading, then you have to fill in the concrete holes, which is on the renters and the owners. So it's just a big, long system, and it's a big problem, so I'd just like to know how you can help us.
so I'm just want to check if our DPW is here yet. Our DPW, oh, nice, but you're not the rep, you're not doing the, okay, well, go ahead.
You're right, and part of that confusion is that there's a kind of interplay between us and the housing. Because generally when someone calls in 311 for rat rot out, generally that's a housing, goes to housing first, a housing inspector comes out and looks for evidence of rat burrows, not rats, but rat burrows, because that's really what we do. If they don't see rat burrows at the place where it's been called in, they may say, nothing seen. It doesn't really get to us at that point, so there's an interplay between us. One of the things we're working on is that we actually put together a kind of flow chart to make it easier for everyone to kind of see, like, what is that process for getting rat rub out? Because the other part of it is that, and I've referred a lot of people directly to rat rub out, 396-1023. And if you refer directly to us and you have evidence of rat burrows, we will come out and we will bait it. We're also working on a proactive rat rub out program where we will be proactively going through areas.
Can you back up? You're saying that when you call directly to the rat rub out, what happened?
When you call or do it online, it's very difficult to get an inspector to come out, and even if you do, you have to fill out a right of entry form, and where do you get this, how do you know about it? So there's a big breakdown in actually getting the service.
And the kind of right to entry form is a separate thing that's in rat rub out itself. That if you have, basically what we attack is rat burrows on public property. So if you see them in the alley, you see them on a mayor city council lot, something like that, yeah, we'll go right in there and we'll bait it. If you have them in your yard on private property, your property, we can't go on your property without your permission, so there's a waiver that gives us the right to come on there. If it's a problem property, where it's your neighbor, and your neighbor's, it's just almost a public health issue, that is a public health order that we can actually have, and it's almost like a public health emergency that would give us the right to go on someone else's private property and bait. So it's, like I said, we're trying to put together this informational piece that kind of lays out all the different components of it, so it makes it much more clear for you, and you can get the service without looking through the myriad kind of different roads that happen when you ask.
I think while I'm sitting here putting my former legislative hat on, it might be something that we could take a look at to make the presumption that if it's a rat baiting, that you would have to, to see if there's a way to, you would have to affirmatively say that you didn't want someone to come, to make it, to reverse that, so.
Kind of cut it directly to rat.
Right, so basically, you just say that, generally speaking, if any government entity needs permission, but is there, I'm just going through my head and trying to see if there's a legislative fix to say to say that the presumption is, unless you affirmatively say, we don't want you to come in for rat abatement, that, to flip it, so you would have to say you didn't want someone to come in.
It's an opt-out.
Right, yeah, opt-out.
Well, yeah, we would have to kind of.
But I think we can, maybe that's the solution, to look for a legislative fix. I mean, we'd have to do it carefully, because, you can have all kinds of unintended consequences when you do things like that. But maybe that's a way to number one, make sure that there's some more clarity about the services, and connecting people to the services is something that DPW is working on now. With the proactive baiting, we are doing that proactively, but in the public space and on a more regular basis. But to deal with the private side, I can certainly look to see if there are ways that we can, if there is a legislative fix, I don't know. But that's something we can certainly look at. It would make it easier to connect to services when it's on private property if you take that middle piece out, that you have to get that right of entry to follow up. So we'll definitely investigate that as well.
Excuse me, can I follow up a question with you? As long as you're here, could you just give us a couple quick suggestions on how we can help? Is there certain kinds of bait that we can purchase for public property, for alleyways where there are burrows? Is there anything we can do to kind of speed that up?
Well, I'll tell you a little bit. I won't go into my total rat thing.
Yeah,
Mayor
just a
will
couple
just,
things.
when I go into the whole biology and everything like
Don't do that.
I didn't put this pretty long, just, yeah.
But basically, you can't bait your way out of rat problem. It's not going to happen. We would never be able to bait and kill rats faster than if people are feeding them. The way they reproduce being fed, water is not a problem. There's no way you can keep them from getting water. They'll always get water. But food, human food, fresh human food is what they want. And as long as you've got someone in your block who's not using trash cans, or someone who's putting out bags, or someone's putting out bags in the street corner, and there's a way for rats to get fresh human food, That's the problem. So we all, we do the baiting, but the enforcement and the enforcement of trash cans with tight with. And then this goes back to when I was in DPW in '99. In '99, we did a comprehensive study, and that was it. That it's proper sanitation storage is the main way to keep rats from.
And we're also, just to kind of give you the long view of the types of things that we're looking at, it was last year we announced that we were doing a proactive baiting, but we're also looking at, we have the pilot program on the municipal trash cans to see if that has an impact. So in those areas where we have the proactive baiting, we have the municipal trash cans, we have, we've increased the street sweeping, and in some of those pilot areas we're also doing alley sweeping, trying to figure out, is there a better way, and what's that combination that gets us to, significantly reduced rat population. It's really disgusting how quickly they reproduce. Was it 21 days?
Yeah, exactly.
They can have a new litter every 20. So you know what we're up against. All right, I have time for one more. Anybody? Yes.
Hi there, I was with you a few weeks ago at Jay Steinmetz's house at the Political Salon, and you talked about conversations that you've been having with members, officials from the federal government, about assistance that they can provide you and us in the city to move forward from the issues that we've had and build the kind of city that we all want to live in, that we can all be proud of on every level. I was hoping you could follow up with us on some of the assistance, initiatives, anything that you found from the federal government that's going to help the city move forward.
Definitely, I was just with some representatives from HUD today that are helping us, with some of the programs we have around, and they're all working together. So let me just back up, so people who weren't a part of that conversation. After the unrest, I got telephone calls directly from the president, and Valerie Jarrett, and members of the president's cabinet, asking a simple question: how can we help? These are the resources that we have. How can we help? I was invited to a meeting that Valerie Jarrett, who's the senior advisor to the president, had for me and members of the federal delegation with cabinet members, so secretaries of the different agencies, and they said that they wanted to do something different in their response to the unrest in Baltimore, and that they wanted a place-based solution where they would identify one key person from the administration who would be the point person to work across all of the agencies to help with the response. They identified a man that's out of the Office of Budget Management, and he's been a phenomenal resource talking to me. I mean, I can just go down the list of the different things. The Small Business Administration, increase the amount of resources that we have for the recovery, as well as they're working with us to support a job creation in the sectors where we have them, particularly in the technology sector, but we know that we're one of the top places in the country to invest in tech startups. Well, they can be helpful with that, so we can grow jobs in that sector and to have the ability to build from that strength. When you take a look at the Department of Labor, Perez, I think I forget the dollar amount, but I know it's between $4 and $5 million that'll be invested for workforce development, job training. So that's coming in. As I said, the Small Business Administrator was just here, I think, last week or the week before, to talk about the increase in funding that's coming in. HUD was here today. We had the thing with the Small Business Administration and HUD. We hosted an event made in Baltimore. We're connecting local food vendors with institutional purchasers, local institutions. So whether it's hospitals or universities or the big anchors in the city, and how our local Baltimore vendors can have access to the contracts that they're letting for a lot of the food service that they provide. And it was a fantastic event held at Lexington Market. And again, the Obama administration had representatives there supporting that effort. So I would say that those are just a few of the things that have happened recently, but understand that we have daily conversations with the administration on how we can put more resources into the city. We're also having the policy conversations to help us to figure out ways that we can take a look at some of the rules around federal investment in challenged neighborhoods. Right now, there's a HUD regulation that makes it difficult for cities to qualify, cities in need and vulnerable neighborhoods to qualify for demolition money. And it makes it difficult because if there's a racially homogeneous, poor community, it disqualifies you for some of the projects or some of the investment that you need the most, whether it's housing investments or demolition money, and we've been addressing some of those kind of policy issues as well. So every day we're working with the administration to find ways to use the resources that they have, and they're collaborating across their agencies, and we're collaborating across our agencies to try to get the most out of the resources so we can be able to bring more relief and a more solid recovery to the city. With that, I want to thank you all very much for having me this evening. Look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you.
That was very informative. I also want to say good job, everybody. You were very concise with your questions and very respectful. Okay, we do have a couple more items on the agenda, which we have some time to get to. A few more announcements. The first one is, and you've probably heard me talk about this till I blew in the face, but the Patterson Park Master Plan. It's really important. You should really engage in it. The final draft meeting is going to be June 24th. That's June 24th from 7 to 9 p.m. at the charter school. If you want to have input on the Patterson Park Master Plan, you should attend this meeting. Make it a priority. Okay, I saw Anthony from Banner is here, and I know he has an announcement about a really awesome Crowd Fest that you should all go to.
So you guys, this is the third year for Banner's fundraiser. We have a crab feast. All you can eat crabs, corn on the cob, watermelon, and beer. I have tickets here available. They're $40, $45 at the door. It's this Saturday the 13th, so come see me after the meeting. I have tickets available. The other thing, I'll go ahead and talk for Library Square. We have our Library Square meetings on the third Tuesday, so not tomorrow, but the Tuesday after. Anyone who uses the Pocket Park that's attached to the Patterson Park Library, please come to these meetings. We have a master plan. We have some events to plan for the year. We want some more people to be involved. So coming out, it's Tuesdays at 6 p.m. So.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, do you have a greening update? Okay, move on. This is Tressa, our greening committee chair.
Thank you. Actually, I wanted to mention more about the master plan, especially if you live along the Linwood corridor. There are a lot of changes in the master plan for that area, so you might want to come see what's going to happen by your house. So. But the Greening Partnership, we have our monthly meeting the second Saturday of every month, so this Saturday. It's going to be at 11 a.m. and it's going to be at Kim Wiggins' house. She usually has food and drink, so. Good food. Yeah. So come on out. This week we're going to talk about rain barrels, the Bell Nord Alley, and various planters that we have to put around the neighborhood. The Bell Nord alleys are going to get makeovers, and they're also going to get planters. We're also going to talk about an Adopt a Lot project that we are trying to get up and going. And then we have a Pocket Park cleanup that's every other Wednesday. I'm actually not sure which every other Wednesday because the rain threw our schedule off, but.
It's supposed to be this Wednesday, but then we did it last Monday, so I'm not sure we may just do this. We may start again on the last Wednesday, but it's the second and fourth Wednesday.
Okay. And then also, I want to thank everyone that's come out to all of the recent alley cleanups. We've had a few alley makeovers and trash bin giveaways. They've been a huge success. We've partnered with Healthy Harbor, and they've given us a lot of resources and a lot of their time.
All right, thank you very much.
Kim, do you want to make a quick announcement about the home tour? date, I'm not gonna get into all the reasons why the date changed, but the new and final date is September 26th, which is a Saturday. The time is to be determined because there are a couple of issues, so it's either going to be 11 to 4 or 12 to 5, but we do have a volunteer Facebook group, and it's Patterson Park Home Tour Volunteers. Now, I would like for you to join this group, and joining the group doesn't mean that you're a volunteer, but what we do need to do is decide on some issues about the home tour going forward, because our neighborhood is huge now. So a home tour from north of Patterson Park all the way to Clinton and up to Orleans and south to Pratt is a very large home tour. So some decisions are going to have to be made, so I would love for input from people. I don't want to scare anybody off, but just input would be nice. So feel free to join that Facebook group. I think that's all. I do have a quick greening update about the trees that have been planted recently. So Blue Water Baltimore is scheduled to come out and start mulching the pits at the end of June when their summer crew starts. A few of the trees have died. They will come and take out those trees, but new trees probably will not be planted until the fall. And then if there's anything that you do want to do to your tree pits, we posted some schematics of some flowers that you can plant on the Patterson Park Greening Partnership website, Facebook page, so you can take a look at that. And I know I made something saying that the city would come and clean your tree pits, but I was completely and totally misinformed by the people who did that, so that was like a one-time off. So feel free to support your tree pits and clean trash and do all the wonderful stuff that we already do to support our lovely city life.
All right, the microphone is dead, everyone. So one last announcement before we adjourn on time, might I add. The Patterson Park Public Charter School Partnering Initiative. Many of you are aware that we had a meeting with the charter school. We had a lovely tour. They even gave us wine and cheese. Wow, what an amazing thing. And we did some great brainstorming, and a lot of ideas are coming out, and we'd love to have more ideas, but it seems like there's going to be two main initiatives. One initiative is to help the charter school expand. They're interested in taking over a zone school in the neighborhood, and they would like some help from the neighbors who think that's important. So if you think it's important to make the charter school replicate itself, contact me.
It would be a converted charter school.
Yeah, yes. Well, actually, it would remain a public school.
Right.
But it would be with the same mission that the charter school has. Yes, like Wolf Academy, yes. Yeah. So that's one thing that they're interested in. The other thing is to get us actually more involved in the school and vice versa. So if you want to help mentor kids, or if we want to maybe have an elective where the kids will come and hang out with us once a week and do cleanups, or they'll come to the Baltimore City Police meetings and see what that's like. And there's a lot of opportunity depending on how people get involved or how involved you want to be. That one's really still forming. So if you are interested in maybe throwing your ideas in, that would be perfect timing. Again, if you want to be involved in that, contact me. So it's president@pattersonparkneighbors.org if you are interested in working in the charter school in any way. Any questions about that?
Are they looking for time during the school hours or for activities
Both.
outside?
They are interested in time during school and time beyond school. The elective would be, I think they were saying what it was this year was Wednesday afternoons. So if you had like 2 hours or even probably 1 hour for Wednesday afternoons, then that would be a good thing for you. Or if you wanted to come after school, because they do have a lot, that's one of the great things about the charter school actually, is they have a lot of great after school activities that the kids are engaged in, and they don't just go home and be like, well, I don't have anything to do, I'm going to go get in trouble. So they want help keeping that, and then also integrating them into the community. So hopefully they'll see the value in our community and maybe help improve it. Any other questions? Do you want to make an announcement? Go ahead.
Well, hey, I'm Mark Parker. I'm the pastor with a few announcements, some on my own. Greek festivals this weekend over in Greektown on Papa Street at the Tortilla there, 11th to 14th. You don't want to miss it. Jim Craft's Constituent Breakfast is on Saturday, 9:30 to 12. 9 to 11:30 at Icaros, and you're going to want to talk to Jeff or call the office to get signed up for that. And then my two announcements, I'm organizing a group of people to go sailing. If you've never been sailing on the Tasco before, there's a great nonprofit sailing center called the Downtown Sailing Center. I'm taking a group down on Saturday afternoon, the 20th, of June, so you can ask me for more information about that. And then another crab feast, this is to benefit Highlandtown Preschool on Sunday the 28th. Sunday the 28th, $20 BYOB, lots of other food too. Oh, and for those of you who are part of the Welcome to Neighborhood initiatives here, I have fresh cookies and welcome packets for you to take and visit your new neighbors. So those of you should already know about that, or if you're interested in being part of those efforts, track me down and I'll give you some cookies as you leave. Just have to promise to give them away.
Where is the preschool benefit being held?
So that's a Brethren Catholic Church in Pratt.
Okay. And my name's Anna, I'm your neighborhood liaison with the mayor's office of neighborhood. If you all have any follow-up questions this evening, concerns, feedback that wasn't addressed while the mayor was here, you can feel free to email me, be up on Facebook or whatever, and I have my cards here, so please be after the meeting.
Great, thanks. Steve?
One last one, I promise. Tomorrow night is our monthly cleanup at Baltimore and Linwood. This garden is in its second or third season this year. Looks really great thanks to the efforts of many people in this room who have been there to weed, pickaxe the dirt when we first started it, drag trees around, help mod plants. So anyway, tomorrow night, 6 p.m. is our monthly cleanup. Please join us. Your faces are always welcome. We had a great family from a couple of blocks north of here. It's like the 400 block of north something up here. But anyway, they were great. They showed up and they care about this place because they walk through it every day. It's the gateway from Patterson Park into the park and from the park into our neighborhood. So please help us. And if you're not there to help, I'm always up for people who are schooling those with dogs who want to use our car beds. So if you see somebody with their dog in there, don't be afraid to say, hey, this is for everyone, not just you and your dog. So help me and everyone else help keep that space clean. But join us tomorrow night or be our eyes there. Thanks.
Great. All right, with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Oh, sorry. One more. One last one.
Real quick, I just have to alert you guys on something real quick. I'm also James Bill with Southeast Neighborhood Service Commission. And I know our major and our captain noticed that there's been flashing burglaries in the residential areas between like 100, some of the 200 of the unit blocks between Patterson and Linwood. So he's really trying to get the effort out to you guys to be on alert, to try to take every measure possible to lock all your windows, your doors, make sure that they're secure tight when you leave in the morning, because these are daytime burglaries that are going on. And right now they're actively trying to work up some type of initiative, pending the manpower, that we can get to have some officers going in throughout the alleys, throughout some of these blocks. And hopefully we get lucky and catch these guys. But we need you guys to really be on your A game as far as securing your homes.
Always a good tip.
And one more thing, we have a community day that our office is putting on for the community. We'd love for you guys to come out and join the day with us. It's going to be June the 20th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Great.
If you have an announcement to make, but you could not make it, it's past 8 o'clock, so we are adjourning, but I'm taking the minutes. So please line up in front of me, I'll write it down, it'll be emailed to everyone here. Side note, if you didn't send in, you won't get that email, so please come see me.
Excellent announcement. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. I cannot believe it went through almost everything. I only had 2 other announcements. I was like, that's good.